Hey guys, welcome back again to another tutorial. Today we're going to connect our domain name to our EC2 instance that we created in the previous videos. Right now the domain we're going to be using is this domain, the codesandpixels.me, registered at Pokbun. They're not sponsoring me. Anyway, so we go to Route 53 on AWS. Firstly, we need to create a hosted zone, basically like a container that will hold this particular domain for us. And we put in the domain name. I usually put in the domain name, and then I also give it a description and a tag, so I can be able to distinguish which domain is which. Because as you keep adding more domains, you're probably gonna end up confusing yourself with which domain is which. So I give it a name on the tag, and then we proceed. Once you create the hosted zone, it's gonna create DNS servers, and it's gonna create some name servers for you to use. So you're gonna copy that and go back to your where you registered your domain. Maybe GoDaddy. I use Pokbun. Enum is another one, and you replace your default name servers with the Amazon name servers. And that's what I'm doing here. Once you do that, there's actually not much else you need. The only thing I figured is that sometimes you have to add the elastic IP address of the EC2 server on your domain registrar as well. I do that. It's not necessary, but I do that as well. So now we go back to our so here we've actually added the name servers. Now when we go back to our instance, we pick the IP address, which is the elastic IP that we've been working with, and we go to the zone file on our registrar, and we create an A record for the domain, codes and pixels. We save that. And then I also create another, a couple of them, I think 3 of them. So we have the one for codes and pixels, the one with the wildcard, and then the www domain, and we tie those two to the IP addresses. The rest of those zone records, we're going to delete them because we don't need it. So once we're done, we close this. I will come back here to delete those later stage, and then we go to our Route 53, and we start creating our records on the Route 53. Since once the domain resolves and everything is routed via AWS servers, then we have to now create our records on the hosted zone on AWS. So here I'm removing the records that are on Pokbun so that it doesn't conflict with the one on AWS. If you just registered your domain and you've not used it for anything, you probably won't have much of this on your domain records. But I've been playing around with this in previous tutorials and testing that I've been doing, so that's how I have a lot of these on. I'll still share those tutorials later on. So this is what you should have on your zone file, and this should be good to go. So you have the domain, the wildcard, and the www, and that's it. You're done basically with Pokbun or your domain registrar. And here you go back to Route 53, and we go to our hosted zone. Before we do that, I usually use Dns Checker to check the name server to see if it's resolved. It's a very good tool actually. So here I type in the domain and I select the name server, and I click on search. Once you click on search, it's going to go through and it's going to try and see if it's resolving correctly. So you'll see the name servers that we added. It's now showing up with a green check mark on it. If it's not resolving, you'll see it as a red red cross on it. So everything seems to be fine right now. So the next thing we have to do is to go back to the EC2 server, the instance, and once we're there, we're going to pick the copy the IP address, the elastic IP address, and we go back to Route 53. And we go to our hosted zone. We only have one, but as we grow, we're going to have other ones there. So we go to Codes and Pixels, and we open that hosted zone, and we're going to add more records on it. So here we're adding the normal record, and we tie it to the IP address, and it's going to be an A record. We create that record. We could have actually done all of them in the same window, but let's do it one by one so you can understand. And here we're doing the wildcard one, and we also make it an A record, and we add it at the IP address. And the last one I think should be the www record. So we type that in, www, and we add the IP address, the elastic IP address, and we create that record. And I think that's pretty much all we need to do for now. So if we go to DNS Checker and we check the A record now, and as you can see, the setting is on the A record, and you can see this takes a little bit more time to resolve, so just be a bit patient with it, because remember we removed some of the information on Porkburn, so it's going to take a while to resolve all of it. If we try to access the domain, we will not get access to it. I'll tell you why. The reason is because our security group, when we created the instance, we only allowed access through SSH. So now we need to add, make some changes on the security group so we can add the HTTP and the HTTPS access, as well as MySQL and any other ports we need to open. So we open the security group. You see here we only have the SSH enabled. So the inbound rules is only SSH that is open. So if we open the security group, we go to edit. I'm going to go to edit rules, and here you see that the only rule we have is inbound is SSH. So we're going to add HTTP, and we're going to add HTTPS, and we're going to add MySQL, because we're going to be running WordPress later on, and these three we should do for now. And we open the ports to anywhere or to specific IP addresses if you want. That's up to you, but I usually do it this way, and you save the rules. Now if we go back to the browser and we try to access the domain, we should see that the new domain is now active and available publicly. And there you go. So thank you for watching, and come back again for the next lesson. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.